All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Crawford Lawn Middle School's Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I'm pleased to call this meeting to order, the meeting of the Crawford Lawn Middle School Go Team to order. Our first order of business is roll call. The secretary, Ms. Chandra Kruger, will now take the roll call.
Please say present when I call your name. Natasha Hall.
Present.
Jameson Murphy.
Present.
Kenya Boston.
Present.
Miss Cinnaboo Sheffield. Okay. Dr. White.
Present.
All right. Did I miss anyone?
Me.
I'm sorry. Hello, Miss Veronica Cullum. Thank you. I'll add you for present. Anybody else that I miss?
Our principal.
I'm sorry, McCall, but I thought she wasn't involved in the roll call. Miss McCall, please answer present.
Present.
Thank you. I will note that Ms. Sheffield is absent.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Kruger. The team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Is there a quorum present?
Yes, there's a quorum present.
Great. All right. At this time, we will now move on to our action items. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here. Please take a moment to review the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? So, Ms. Kruger, if you'll just share the agenda on your screen, or you can share it on your screen, and we will view it, and then we will approve the agenda. We'll have someone make a motion from the floor to approve the agenda. You have rights to share, Ms. Kruger? Okay, cool. At this time, are there any changes to the agenda that need to be made? If no, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I
I
motion
motion
we approve the previous meeting's minutes.
Minutes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, we're doing the agenda right now.
Oh, the agenda. Sorry.
I
Thank
second
you.
that
Thank you
to
very
approve
much.
the agenda.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions, please identify yourself or raise your hand. Okay, at this time, the motion carries for the approved agenda. Next action item will be the approval of the previous minutes. At this time, Ms. Kruger will post the minutes from the previous meeting. She will share her screen and we will review those minutes from our last meeting.
Also posted the minutes in the chat, but I will share my screen.
Thank you.
Y'all want me to read?
No.
Okay.
You can just scroll down as well because you also placed it in the thing, but you can just scroll down. We'll go from there. Go back up for a second. A little bit more. Okay, Carla, we good. We good. Mhm. Has everyone had a chance to, if everyone's had a chance, are there any corrections to the previous meeting minutes? If there are no further corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes?
I motion that
Motion.
we approve the previous meeting minute.
May I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions, please identify yourself or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Uh, at this time, motion carries. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to move on to our discussion items. And the first discussion item would be changes to gifted delivery model.
For the upcoming year, school year, or I'm sorry, for the next school year, there will not be any changes to the current model that we're currently utilizing at Long Middle School. So that currently there are no updates regarding our gifted model.
Okay, great. All right. And that allows us, are there any questions from the floor? No? All right, so at this time now we move on to the next discussion item, item B, review budget meeting schedule.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So y'all, this is screen?
Yes.
Okay. To ensure alignment with the district's budget timeline, we need to review and potentially adjust our current budget meeting schedule. This will ensure timely submission of all required materials. Mr. Murphy, can you please go through those dates?
You said Kruger or Murphy?
Mr. Murphy.
Okay, talking about the presentation?
Uh-huh.
Okay, current meeting dates are February 13th and March 20th. Those are the current meeting dates.
Okay, and in conjunction with the budget process, we are currently at step 3. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 13th, which would be step 5. And our last meeting we have scheduled for the budget process is on March 20th. And so we will need to look at that meeting in particular and decide what date we'll change that meeting to, because based on the final budget approval, we must have that meeting prior to March 15th.
Yep, and I have a spiel I have to do. So we will now move to discussion items, which we already did. For the next few meetings, we will be focused on creating a budget for the next school year, which aligns to our strategic plan that we discussed in our previous meeting and addresses our strategic priorities. We need to ensure our meeting schedule will permit us to complete the budget and aligns with district timelines. We need to have a draft budget completed prior to our principal staffing conference, sometime between the 26th of February and March 1st. So that is approaching quickly because I know we have a winter break in February. And so then we will need to have a meeting after the staffing conference before Friday, March 15th for the final budget approval. When is the staffing conference, Principal Mccall?
We're gonna have that, starting February 24th to the 27th. So that will be from that February 13th meeting. But the final budget approval meeting, we're gonna have to have that prior to the 15th. Because we have to have that information submitted. So currently we have a date of 3/20, which is of course after that 15th date. So we're gonna have to make sure we have a meeting after the 27th, but before the 15th. So the only date that we are off currently is that last Go Team meeting. Because we, for the, feedback meeting is due by the 14th, and we already have that scheduled date of February 13th, so we'll be in compliance for that meeting. So again, that only date we need to look at is that March 20th.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So March 20th is okay? So we need to move
We
it,
have to change that date.
so we need to move it before the 15th.
And my
Um,
conference is on the 26th,
Ooh,
but again, that 13th date will suffice for that, so we just need something after that 26th date. But before the March 15th.
So do we want March 13th or March 6th? Those are the two weeks, the two Thursdays before the 20th.
because we're at the 23rd. We would have 1 week. We would have, so in 2 weeks, we would meet on the 6th and then the 13th. Let's see, go to principal. Budget's approved by March 15th. So could we meet the first week in March?
So I think that would be the 6th. Is that correct, Ms. Cruz?
Yeah, yeah, first week.
Yes, that's correct. March 6th. Is that enough
Yeah.
time?
It's either that or the 13th, and I think the 6th should be fine.
This is fine for me.
Does everybody agree?
That's an
Yes.
action item, Mr. Murphy.
That would
Or
be an
just a
action
discussion?
item. So then if we're changing the current date, so now we need to, from the floor, may I have a motion to change the meeting date from 3/20 to 3/6?
I motion that we change the date from 3/20 to 3/6 for
I second.
accommodation.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Say
Okay,
nay.
I got a quick question. When was the February meeting? When did we schedule that one for?
That was the 13th.
That'd be 1, 2, so 3 weeks there, we'd have another meeting.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, because it says go team feedback meeting in step 5. We're on the 13th, and that has to be done between February 1st and February 14th. And then there's a cluster superintendent review on the 17th through the 21st. And then the staffing comes the 24th through the 27th. And then we would do a meeting on March 6th, and that would be before the March 15th approval date.
okay, I just wanted to see how close the meetings were gonna be between February and March. So, okay, aye for the approval of the, March 6th date.
Okay. Are there any abstentions? At this time, motion carries for the change of the meeting date from 3/20 to 3/6. Thank you.
Documented.
All right. So now with that said, now we'll go into the next part of our budget allocation presentation. We will now move to our next item, the budget allocation presentation, which will be presented by the principal.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to move to our budget development. I'm waiting for the slide to check. Our norms, this is a meeting of the GO team. Only members of the GO team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to observe quiet. We invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. We will follow the agenda as noticed to the public and stay on task. We will respect all ideas and assume good intentions. Now, this is the GO team budget development process. Your school strategic plan, your roadmap, and your role is your direction, your priority, your vision, your present and future. Here are 4 steps taken in the development process. First, do the data, deal with your strategic plan review. We have our budget parameters based off the strategic priorities. And now we're at step 4, budget development process. Budget allocation meeting. During the first GO team meeting, the principal will provide an overview of the budget and position allocations, requests for turnaround and or signature program funds, and changes to the gifted services model. This provides an opportunity for the principal and GO team to ensure alignment on the school's key strategic priorities, gain deeper understanding of the budget and position allocations, discuss the proposed request for signature program funds, and provide input to drive the development of the draft budget. Of course, this meeting is taking place between January 16th and January 31st. My role is design and propose operational changes that can raise student achievement, formulate strategies, implement and manage them at school level, focus on the day-to-day operations, serve as the expert on the school, hire quality instructional and support personnel, collaborate with the GO team on the use of school level flexibility for position allocations, turnaround initiatives, and signature programs. And there's a new process for fiscal year 26. The GO team role, focus on the big picture, positions and resources, not ensure that the budget is aligned to the school's mission and vision, and that resources are allocated to support key strategic priorities. Collaborate with the principal on the use of the school flexibility for position allocations, turnaround initiatives, and signature programs. Again, there's a new process for fiscal year 26. Now here's long-term strategic plan. GO team members, we have reviewed this, but I will go over it. Again, our mission at Long Middle School, Prophet Middle School cultivates a community of lifelong learners and leaders that are empowered to globally compete and access future opportunities. Our vision is to build a community of compassionate innovators, creating opportunities for themselves and others. Our goals for the upcoming school year. In ELA, the percentage of students in grades 6 to 8 scoring proficient or above in ELA as measured by the Georgia milestones will increase by 3% from 17.3% to 20.3% by 2025. The percentage of students in grades 6 to 8 proficient or above in math as measured by the Georgia milestone will increase by 3% from 10.8% to 13.8% by 2025. Our attendance goal, the average daily attendance rate will increase from 88.8% to at least 91.8% by the end of the 24-25 school year. And our child, family engagement. Provide at least 3 opportunities for family engagement and student goal setting to enhance academic and behavior ownership during the 24-25 school year. List, and I'll allow you all to read them, are our strategic priorities. On our asking, we did up them on the next slide. You will see the updated priorities based off our previous meeting and action taken to approve them. And also you will see the strategy school will implement to ensure that we're reaching those priorities. Based on our last meeting, we updated our strategic priorities. And actually we had 6, and based off of the feedback given by the team, initially we had 9. And based off the feedback on the team, we were able to combine some, create 6 priorities, ranked from highest to lowest, and I'll read them. Our first priority is to improve student mastery in reading language arts, math, science, and social studies, concept knowledge in conjunction with the STEM program model. Recruit, develop, and retain highly talented faculty and staff. Build and leader capacity through ongoing professional development opportunities. Utilize systems and resources that identify and address root causes to promote social and academic growth, to inform and engage school families, partners, and community members. Implement goal setting, student ownership, and growth mindset opportunities for all students, and prepare all students for college, career, and life. In front of you, you see our strategic priorities and the rationale behind each, and based off of the rankings, you will see our rationale. First, improve student mastery in reading language arts, math, science, and social studies content in conjunction with the STEM program. Improving student mastery in reading language arts, math, science, and social studies content knowledge is essential to building a well-rounded foundation for academic and lifelong success. Integrating these core subjects with the STEM program model enhances student accountability to think critically, solve problems creatively, and connect interdisciplinary knowledge in meaningful ways. By strengthening their graphs of content knowledge across these areas, students develop literacy, numeracy, and analytical skills necessary to excel in competitive technology world. This approach also supports equitable learning opportunities by preparing all students for future academic, career, and global challenges. Our next priority: recruit, develop, and retain highly talented staff. The rationale for this priority: by prioritizing the recruitment, development, and retention of highly talented faculty and staff, we ensure that the organization maintains a competitive edge in delivering excellence. Exceptional faculty and staff foster innovation, drive organizational growth, and enhance the overall experience for students, stakeholders, and the community. Our next priority is to build teacher and leader capacity through ongoing professional development opportunities. Building teacher and leader capacity is essential to fostering a culture of continuous improvement and success. By ongoing PD opportunities, educators can enhance their instructional strategies, stay updated on best practices, and address the diverse needs of our students. Empowering and with the tools and knowledge to excel not only improves classroom outcomes, but also strengthens the overall school community. This investment ensures sustainable growth and adaptability in an ever-evolving educational landscape. Those are our first 3 priorities and the rationales behind them. Next, I will shift to our next 3 priorities. Our next priority is to utilize their resources that identify and address root causes to promote social and academic growth, to inform and engage school families, partners, and community members. By identifying and addressing root causes, we will assist with removing barriers to success, fostering social and academic growth. This approach ensures that interventions are targeted and impactful, leading to meaningful outcomes for all students. Engaging families, partners, and the broader community in the process create shared responsibility and collaboration, strengthen support networks for our next priority, implementing goal-setting, student ownership, growth mindset opportunities for all students. Empower students to take charge of their learning journey by fostering goal-setting habits, promoting a sense of ownership, and nurturing a growth mindset. Goal-setting provides students with clear objectives, motivating them to strive for measurable progress. Encouraging student ownership ensures that this learning are going to be actively engaged and accountable for their academic and personal growth. By cultivating this mindset, students learn to embrace challenge, view setbacks as opportunities, and develop resilience, which prepares them for success in both the classroom and beyond the classroom. And our priority, preparing all students for college career life. Our rationale is to foster a culture of high expectation and personalized support. Students will gain the confidence and competencies needed to pursue diverse post-secondary opportunities, integrating real-world learning experience and career exploration empowers the students to connect their education to meaningful pathways. Next, go to a detailed discussion about budget allocation based off of our priorities. In front of you, you will see the executive summary for our budget. This budget represents an investment plan for our school students, employees, and the community as a whole. The budget recommendations are tied directly to the school's strategic vision and direction. The proposed budget for the general operations of the school are reflected at $9,858,118. This investment plan for fiscal year 26 accommodates a student population that is projected to be 613 students, which is a decrease of 13 students from fiscal year 25. Now here's a sample budget. The allocation tab has 3 tabs. They show the allocations for, it would be from left to right, fiscal year 26, fiscal year 25, and the change in each area. This helps you understand how our school earned funds and positions for fiscal year 26 in comparison to fiscal year 25, and how changes in each line impact our overall school budget. In front of you, you will see, again, this is profit loans allocations. You will see fiscal year 26, fiscal year 25, and the change between both years. I will give you the opportunity to look at it, and then any discussions or any questions you may have. As you're looking, you can see that we have an increase in total earned. That does account for the salary, and you'll see that on another slide. So although you see a total earned has increased, we still stack with the salary, especially the increase that was given this school year as far as salaries. So there is an increase in total earned, but you'll see on the next slide regarding salaries. Also, the per pupil cost, there was an increase to $16,082 from last year's where it was at $14,963, and that a difference in $1,118 per pupil.
Okay, while we're looking at this, I have a question. So I see fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26. So the one that says 26, would that start in August or does it start in 26?
That starts in July. So you look at the fiscal year, we come to school August 24, but it says fiscal year 25. So when we come in August of 25, this is fiscal year 26.
Okay. So we made more per pupil, but we have less enrollment. Okay.
So our projected enrollment is going to be 613, we're at 626. But again, that's projected.
What is our current enrollment?
Currently at 622, and I know that we had 2 to enroll today. And I know that we had some additional families, but we still have to factor in, and I'm just going to be very transparent, especially in the building, we have a very transient population. So it goes up, it goes down. So it all depends at what point in time you're asking.
Mm. Mm.
And for the fiscal year 26, like the ones at the bottom, the third from the bottom, is that one going to stay? Is it the same one is that one going to stay 0 or is it going to change once we get there for the allocation?
Which one? You said the third one.
From the bottom.
Incoming performance,
Yeah. Will that change
because it says
once
0.
we get on? Because it says 0 for 26, but for 25, it has a lot of money.
Right now, it's as is. Nothing's going to change.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
And then
And I
it's
still want y'all to know there's some continuance on the next page. So I just, because there's some totals there. So I want you to make sure you have a good view of this one, because now I'm going to, before I go to the next page, because I want you all to really. And again, these are our student counts. So if you see those total 206 sixth graders, 177, 228, those are our projected enrollment as far as our numbers for the next school year.
So it seems like we made money because of our ELL students and our special education, those subgroups, we was able to gain more revenue from.
But that would potentially only be if we retain those students, because if those students leave, then we would lose that money. So this is a projected amount. Okay.
And that's, again, it's projected.
Okay, so in the category where you see change in the third box over here, right? So we're talking about the FY26 school allocations and I'm looking at the category under poverty, right? And so there was $1 million, and make sure I'm reading this correctly. There's a little better than $1 million allocated in allocations. And then for FY25, it was a little bit more. I think I'm reading, I might need to put
25 was less, 26 was more.
Okay, and then, so the change was it says minus 24,372, right? So that was a change. So that means that it was less allocation for poverty between FY25 and FY26. Is that am I reading that correctly?
It
Look like we got more money in
It looked like the difference
26.
should be a positive number. It looks like what you're saying. Because
The
the 24,372, so the change was 24,372. It may be
Increase.
So even though it has a minus, is that a minus or a plus?
That's a minus. I, I see what you're saying because it has a negative sign.
Right.
Because if you look at the 100, you would be looking to whereas, yes, that would be a negative because it went from having to not having. So that would be a negative $57,734. I understand what you're saying. That technically should not have a negative sign there. It should be positive $24,372 based off of the change between 25 and 26.
Okay. Okay.
And then on the sixth grade line for 26, it says 309,000. For 25, it says 31,000. And then for the change, it has 277,512.
Right. So there's a difference between what
Is
we
that
have, what we'll have in 26. I'm sorry, between what we'll have in 25 and what's projected for 26, and $277,000 and whatever the 277,000 plus will be the difference, right? Am I right?
Uh-huh.
well, no, I think they have it wrong on here because that 31,000 should be in the last box for the change, and then the 277 should be under the 25 box for sixth grade. Am I right?
The difference is 277,512 for sixth grade.
Right.
It was 31,844 allocated. This year,
Oh, we got more.
but you have to wait. The weight was changed. We went from 0.03 to 0.25.
Right. And these are
I have,
projections.
okay.
Veronica has a question. Her hand has been up for a minute.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Malone?
I actually have three questions, so I'll start with the easiest one first. So, and I apologize because I'm familiar with budgets, but this is like new for me. Is this including, because I recall something coming out from APS, saying that they were going to allocate, which is pathetic, like 20-some thousand dollars for security upgrades?
That is actually a security grant that was given by the state.
Hey,
But as I stated, this is only the first page. So all of that
Oh,
on the next pages. So I think you jumped a little ahead, but that.
oh, sorry. Well, I have two other questions. The first one, like, that's a huge jump for sixth grade. Can you explain to me what that number represents and why it's only associated with sixth grade?
That is a transitional year, and that is the calculation and the weight that was given. As far as this document, it was provided, but I know you those transition years at sixth grade, ninth grade, the weight is sometimes different, a little larger compared to other grade levels. Because you see at the ninth grade, you see that 0.5,
Right.
0.5, whereas other grade levels, you don't see that weight. So that it's just a transition year. So that's one of the major reasons.
Okay, that makes sense. My last question, because I don't want to make an assumption. So when I see poverty and concentration of poverty, in my mind, what comes up is this is reflective of the percentage of students that are considered meeting the requirements of quote unquote living in poverty according to the federal guidelines. But I'm having a really hard time conceptualizing how the level of poverty in our student population decreased by that much in 1 year.
And I will get some additional information, but I'm looking and the decrease, there was a decrease based on some information that I received at one point, but I will additional information to share with you all because I don't want to provide with incorrect information. So I will look into that, but there was a shift in our poverty index from my understanding.
And the only reason I could see, just from just if I were just to put an eyeball on it, going around the neighborhood, the only shift I could, that I could visually see and I could speculate on would be because of the new construction, the new, like the new houses, the new,
development,
Higher.
right.
gentrification.
And when
Now-
that And when that happens, there's a lot of people that are going to be displaced because it's going to impact the rent, it's going to impact the property values. And so that's the beginning of gentrification.
Yes, and
Well,
it's a lot of our kids are being displaced to outside of the 20 area.
Yeah.
Outside the perimeter.
that actually makes sense, and along the same lines, like, because I just moved in this area and bought my home a year and a half ago, and there's just on my street like literally 5 houses in 1 year that have been renovated and people have moved in. But I will say, in regards to the gentrification piece, I don't know how many of you are residents of MPUZ and are involved in those meetings, and I'm on the board, and every month when we meet, especially our legacy residents, we're doing our best that when developers want to come in, we're making it hard for them to come in and raise the rents. We put a lot of restrictions on them and we fight them like every step of the way. But one thing I will say is, Invest Atlanta is trying for all the new developments in this area to do mixed income um property developments. But yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
We definitely appreciate you for all of your work in the community and trying to keep our community diverse. We appreciate you.
Hey, yes, indeed. I'm going to move to the next portion of this slide. And this right here includes the total from the previous page. So you will see those numbers right here. So the SSF allocation for FY 26 is $5,720. I'm sorry, $5,720,245. The previous year, it was $5,252,549, with a difference of $697,700. Now, the additional earnings. The additional earnings for FY 26 on your far left. For FY 25, you will find it in the middle. And for the change, you will find it far right. I give the opportunity to look at it and review it, and if you have any
So
questions.
everybody's losing we're losing our signature program, which
No,
is
that's not it. There is a tab, and we're going to get there later. As far as signature program, there's a request for funding. So there is a tab there. So you'll see that later on.
okay.
Could you explain what is that Title I holdback? What elaborate on that?
I'll be quiet.
Okay, I want to see the negative 47,025.
No, I mean what is meant by Title I holdback?
Holdback of Title I funds.
So quick question. If our poverty is going down, that means the Title I funds reduce as well? Is that why we have the reduction from 25 to 26 in Title I?
I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly, so give me one moment, okay?
We lost $143,000 in Title I fund.
Taxes have gone up. That is one benefit.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, that's the whole back of those Title I funds. That's what that is. So you can see that it has that connection with poverty. It has a lot to do with it.
So the the allocation, for example, was $470,000, and due to whatever their guidelines are for meeting that Title I guideline, 47,000 and some change was held back. That's what that's in effect? That's kind of, if I were to read that in a sentence, that's what that means.
Yes, it's almost like it's an escrow.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then family engagement, but family engagement was
Well, it's about
that was a
I don't want the
4.4
family
grand.
engagement funds to engage.
right. But these are just based on the projections for 2026, though, right? This hasn't actually happened. Okay, not
But
yet.
this is our budget. This is the budget that we're gonna have to vote on and approve. So right now, we have to look at it to whereas it looks like it's gonna happen, because these funds are gonna happen. These funds are what they are.
As long as we have a Department of Education giving us the money, but that's a whole nother meeting. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
The ADA
Okay,
hold
so-
back the same thing, like they're holding back, it stands for Atlanta Virtual Academy.
Is that the money that the parents will essentially get if they decide to?
No,
No,
that's
no,
this Ava,
no.
the virtual academy.
Ava. So those are
Okay.
funds for students enrolled in Ava who may enroll in Ava in a school. So that's literally Ava. And as you can see, the security grant, I think someone inquired about that, the 45,000. All of this is in one pot. So all of these funds have been rolled into our book. Then we have field trip, dual campus supplement, district funded stipends. Those are the athletics. Those are the content chairs, the parking chairs.
Hmm.
And what is a
Okay, well
Phoenix?
done.
What's a Phoenix holdback? What is that? Phoenix.
Phoenix Academy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And we don't have that because we're middle school, correct? We don't
Yeah, we
have
don't
that
have the
whole.
students enrolled.
Okay, so why are we getting anything for flex this year?
That will be a question that I will have to
What is
ask,
flex?
because I don't want to give an incorrect answer, so I'm not going to give an answer and it's incorrect, so I will look into that.
Okay, thank you so much.
And so now that first warrants, that 5,720,245, added those additional earnings of $4,135,873. Our total allocation for the upcoming school year of $9,858,118.
Hmm.
Mm.
So they took away, but then we get.
It looks like they increased the dollar amount, but in increasing the dollar amount, we're missing something because we're getting more money, but we're losing
But we have to
more
understand
money.
that there was an 11% salary increase. So now it has to be accounted for, but you all will see that in the next slides. Because technically we are more than 1.5 million in the red for the upcoming school year.
And I guess, do we know what areas it would affect? Like, is it gonna be basically our classrooms? Because I know we made adjustments this year. So the adjustments that we make next year, do you have an idea what they will look like?
Right now, that is part of that discussion process. That is part of that feedback process that we're gonna have the next meeting prior to any staff. And again, that's why the strategic priorities, our goals, that's gonna be a discussion of the team also.
Okay. Okay.
Now, we do have several slides to look at. I will say that it's important that you all look and have a clear understanding of the summary tabs and what they actually mean. The summary tab provides a summary of the staff of school. The columns show how many positions are earned. And I did see some errors earlier, so I just want to give you a FYI, especially how many we currently have staff. But there was some errors, and I think it more so had to do with the Excel spreadsheet on my end. but I will give you those updated numbers so you can have an idea of how many are staffed. Earned, positions allocated by district departments. There's no school level flexibility with these positions. So those positions that are earned, so those positions, there's no flexibility with those positions. Fund, district recommended staffing for positions where there is school level flexibility with staff the position. Staff, this shows how the position is currently staffed at the school. And that's where there is some errors. Again, I will give the accurate numbers. Different. This shows the difference between the recommendation in the funding column and the staff column. And comments. The principal must provide comments if there's a difference in what is funded and staff. Principal and both teams will discuss the rationale provided for the comment section. In front of you, you will see the list of teachers. Now I'm going to allow you to read those numbers. There is an error. With our ELA teachers, there is an error, it should be 8. And also with the science teachers, it should be 5.
So with the errors in there, are these errors, is the numbers without the error corrected with the previous slides we looked at? Is that the information that it shows, or does it have the correct?
Oh, no, it's the correct one. This was an error as me doing the presentation. So that's
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Uh-huh.
Question, when
Mhm.
they show these salaries per teacher, these seem like generic numbers, right?
This is our average. So any salary you'll see with the teacher is the average.
Oh, okay, all right, so they
And this
adjust
includes
our
salaries
budget.
and benefits.
Okay, so they adjust our budget to, because I'm like, for instance, no one's making a 127, say
Yeah.
as an art teacher. That
Everybody.
goes back to us, right?
All of
Okay,
it is the average. So anything you see is the average salary of a teacher. So with any teacher position, you'll see that 127,556
Hmm.
And is that the average salary for the entire school?
for all teachers. Uh-huh.
So like, for example, for the music teacher, you only have one music teacher, but then there's a figure 127,000. I know he wish he was probably making that, but I'm pretty sure, he probably not making it. So that number is an average of what all of your teachers on staff there are making. Gotcha.
The average salary for a teacher.
I have 2 questions.
Ma'am.
So 127 taking into account, that's with fringe, because I was about to say I need to go back into teaching. I'm just kidding.
Oh nah, baby, we don't get that.
But I
That's
do
the benefits,
budgets, and I
all
used
the
to
extra
be
stuff. I'm like,
in HR. So, well, back when I was teaching, we started at 30. But taking that in consideration, do you happen to know what the fringe rate for APS is?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
the friends
What-
benefits.
I think it may be 30. Don't quote me.
And is that average going to be with the raise, or that was before the raise?
This
Oh,
average
that's right.
raise and with benefits.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense.
And will these numbers change?
These
For
numbers.
This
instance,
is
the
average.
quantity.
These
I'm not talking
numbers-
about the salary. I'm talking about the quantity. Like, for instance, math, there's 8 teachers in our building that teach math. But for social studies, there's 5 people in our building that teach social studies. So that's the question I'm asking. Will those numbers possibly change?
These numbers will possibly change based off of discussions and the feedback of staff. There is potential with the allocation cuts overall. Yes, and I'm just gonna be transparent. Overall,
Boston
we
ain't
will have
gonna do.
some positions just based off of funding, and you'll see through the next slide as far as now. These are additional positions, and the next few slides will be position salaries. Some is funded, and just think about the slide that we saw, how many have staff and the districts and the difference. So funded, staff, and the difference. And I'll give you an opportunity to look at the slides.
So quick question. We don't have a performing arts teacher, right? Do we still get that income or we have to hire that?
We don't get anything that does not have a staff. We don't get that. So it's not even an option to bring in unless that's something that we see a need for, is a strategic priority. But if it's not here right now, based off of our budget, we don't have it with why to bring someone in. But that has nothing to do with our funds because we currently don't have one.
Okay, I get another.
Okay.
But if we brought one in, we would then be able to get that money, correct?
No. We
Oh.
would.
You must remember, we're essentially in a deficit. So if we bring somebody else in, that's taking money from somewhere else.
Well, I thought they was giving money.
No, man, no,
No
sir.
money's being given, Mr.
None. We're not gonna create magical positions. We gotta figure out how we're gonna keep these positions.
Okay, so my another question. I see you have a gifted. You have, I guess, when I look at that row, it looks like you're funded for one gifted teacher. Am I reading that? I hope I'm reading that correctly.
Mhm.
But you actually have one staffed. So you have a deficit.
We have two staff
Two staff.
and one funded. Yes, ma'am.
So does that mean the other one working for free, or that it's just a you need to? No, you only have funds for one, but you got two.
But that's the budget that it comes out of. That one we have two teachers, but one teachers come out that gifted budget. So if you remember back to on the last slide where it said gifted, that's the money that we're giving for that gifted position. But essentially we have really more than two gifted teachers. So they only really allocate us to have one, but we have more than one.
Okay, so Ms. Mccall, how do they does that mean that your two teachers are splitting that allocation?
Or they get paid out?
Right now, it means that the district is funding one, and for the upcoming year, we're possibly gonna have to make some decisions, and those we're gonna have to really be intentional. And that's why I really need you all to look at these numbers, because these are the type of conversations we're gonna have to have at our next meeting. But this is just more so to put this in your head to let you see where we're standing for the upcoming year. And so those are the type of discussions we'll be having at the next meeting.
Okay, I have a question too.
Mhm.
So I see that we don't have Indian funding for our world language, but we have two staff. So that's a part of the conversations that we will have to have at the next meeting.
Based off of our orders, based off of, yes.
Okay.
But again, I don't want to, because remember, those are the district recommendations. So it's not me, those are just the recommendations. Those comments, those things of that nature, those are the discussions that we need to have to ensure.
Yeah, because we were talking about how we want to improve the academic performance, and in our last conversation, our last meeting, we talked about how improving the staff, like in terms of training and all of that, hiring qualified and more qualified and higher qualified people. But if we cut, if we don't have the funds, then how do we do that? You know what I'm saying? How will we do that? Right.
And those are the discussions that we are going to have. And y'all let me know if you're finished with this slide so I can move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we're done.
I'm sorry.
It's
Now,
the-
right here, if you see, these are orange because special ed, they do not come out of our general fund. So I just want to give you an opportunity to look at we do earn those teachers. So please make sure you look based off of our enrolled population. So please make sure you look at those numbers. But again, this does not, as far as funding, this is from, if you want to say a different pot. But these are
Okay, so even though, like for the first one, the interrelated, even though we staff 8, does that one different person still come from that other pot? Because I see that we're funded for 7, but we staff 8, so we have that extra one. So is that extra one coming out of our budget, or is it coming out the other pot?
currently, no.
Okay,
Currently, we had, because that was based off of our enrollment of our population. So right now, we're gonna have a difference of 1 teacher because I think for the upcoming, but again, funding is not, those are recommendations based off of what the district. So again, those will have to be possible discussions, but that is not our decision to make, more so unless we fund one if we lose them.
okay, I have a question while we're on the special ed department.
Mhm.
So with GNets now being part of our building, and I know that's a different pot, but does that pot still affect us as a whole?
No.
Okay.
And if, as you can see, is the therapeutic, behavior therapeutic units, they are here. Anything is the orange is, yes, they're in our building, but they're not funded through our building.
Okay.
So basically, we're just housing the GNet. We're not funding the GNet.
Uh-huh. Special, you know, they're funded special ed department.
Gotcha.
Does gifted come out of this pot, or that's a different
No,
pot too?
it's different.
Okay.
This is special paraprofessional.
So when it says monitor, I see that we're funded for 1. Is that
That's
position
Coach
going to be
Moreland.
filled?
His act, that was a standards of service last year. So with him reaching out, supporting students, speaking with the parents, that was the standards of service on last school year.
So will it be staffed in the next school year? Because
That,
I see it doesn't have a number.
and you see that is again, one that's not gonna be funded, but again, those are conversations and comments that we do have the opportunities to discuss.
So will we be able to use that money elsewhere?
It could elsewhere.
Okay. Okay.
But it's showing that that position is funded. It's not staffed as of right now, correct?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
So it potentially, we could take that somewhere else, Moreland, if we don't fund that position. I mean, Murphy.
Is anything a part of our budget, we lose it if we don't use it as prescribed?
I'm sorry, Ms. Boston, I was trying to get the,
The question was, is there any aspect budget you
Are you breaking up?
okay on my hotspot?
You typing it in the chat?
Yeah, she said she's gonna type it in the chat. I read her lips.
Okay.
while Ms. Boston is typing, here's the next slide.
So they only fund us for 2 assistant principals.
Mhm.
But so we're one of the difference. And the school secretary, Why does it say we're funded for one, but the difference is one?
That was something I was looking at during my presentation. That's the one that I'm going to have to reach out about.
Okay, okay.
And also the school clerk, we actually have two, and we're funded for one.
So, okay, Ms. Boston has her question up, but so the areas that's really shaded in yellow, those are where these projections are coming in, right? I guess that's what I'm reading. Yeah.
No, the projections as far as the allocations come from our student population based off of our projected enrollment.
Exactly. For 26, right?
Yes, for 25, 26.
Right. So in the areas in yellow, represent that what we do to have now and the difference. I got you.
Next, is Ms. Boston's question come up?
Yes, she wants to know, is there any part of the budget that we will lose the funds if we don't use them as allocated or suggested?
Repeat that question, I'm sorry.
Is there any part of our budget that we will lose the funds if we do not use it as allocated or suggested?
Special ed, but all positions are used as allocated and suggested by the GO team or based off of job.
I think she was talking about based off the data. Like when I asked the question about that one position that we were funded for, if we don't use that money that they fund for that position, will we lose it or can we use it somewhere else?
No, I truly think that was an error. So that's why I'm gonna have to reach out because we could, of course, use it somewhere else if we don't have the position. But I want to say yes, and that was truly an error because the bookkeeper and secretary are pretty much in alignment.
Okay. She said district suggestions. That was part of the question.
So, Boston, did that answer, and Ms. Howard?
Yes.
Now you all can see the next slide. And again, there should be three. With our counselor, we have three counselors and they fund two.
So then the difference would be one. And then with our clinical therapist, that position is not allocated, but we have one. 'Cause we
Funded,
need
but
one.
we have one staff.
Okay, understood.
And please make sure, because that feedback meeting, this information is going to be crucial. These are going to be discussion, feedback too. So please make sure, and I also will be making sure everyone has a copy of this budget so you can really look at it. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you all see it?
Is the instructional curriculum right?
Say, instructional coach, they fund for one. We have two.
Okay.
Where they getting the averages from?
I think it's
Don't forget, it's not just salary, it's salary and your insurance, and dental, so that.
My insurance still high. Where they getting the averages from?
for the
How much
so
they paying? Because they ain't getting it to me.
That's the portion that they're contributing toward your benefits, not the, so like, if you were to take those numbers and your fringe rate for APS was 30%, then you would take that and multiply it by 0.7, technically.
Yeah, I'm
I
saying
think Mr.
I ain't
Murphy
seen
was
none
just
of this.
confused to whereas this is not my check.
Yeah, nowhere near it.
Murphy, but you understand that they
I
have to.
understand the concept. What I'm
It's
saying
the
is
average. Math
the
and science
accounting
go
is
1-to-1.
off. The
Okay, Mr. Murphy.
accounting.
This is
So
not.
for the parent liaison, are we? Are we gonna lose our parent liaison?
We have, and they don't.
Okay.
But again, this is projected by the
District.
Allocation for the upcoming year.
right.
And
This
you'll see
this
there's a
isn't what
whole
we've
map,
gone
there's a
over. This is
reserve.
right. Yeah, this is what they say, hey, this is what you need to do. Then
These
we
are
go back and
recommendations
review it.
pretty much.
Right.
But even with those recommendations, I still want you all to know, we have to make it somewhere because of the amount of funds. So yes, these are recommendations, but when we have our discussion, being transparent, they're going to have to be cut somewhere.
So even I'm go back real quick. So we're looking at our population and it being bilingual, and they know that we have a lot of differentiated people. They don't allocate us one of those.
No, because we have 3 ELL, and that is not how the parent liaison is determined. So
I'm talking about the community liaison bilingual.
that would have to be something that, as you can see, some people utilize bilingual parent liaison because of that cost that's associated with.
Oh, so essentially, if we get a bilingual parent liaison, that will be those two positions filled in one, but they don't give us neither one.
And that's not something we have requested based off of our strategic priority.
Okay, understood. Understood.
So would it be the responsibility of this committee to make the determine how to reallocate and determine which positions are needed and which are not needed?
That would be a part of the discussion, yes.
The discussion, but is it just at the end of this discussion, do we will this committee have the authority, if you will, to say, okay, we're gonna cut these teachers and we're gonna put more money into a project facilitator, and apparently just as I'm just throwing it out there.
You all will be a part of the dialogue. It will not be the final decision-making process because there's
okay.
entities still have to be involved.
Gotcha. Okay.
Can I go to the next slide?
Quick question I wanted to ask. As the GO team, if we make recommendations, can those be taken to the board?
Can they be to the board?
The board or the area superintendent?
Those will be a part of the discussion with the area superintendent. That's why that meeting, as far as that feedback meeting on February 13th is important because of the date of my meeting.
Thank you.
This right here, nothing. Well, hold on. Is there? I can't see it.
Well, it don't look like we got none of them.
And you'll see from the next tab why not. And these are the last of the positions.
That's funny. It looks like it was only half of a psychologist. 0.5 is funded.
That means that they're
Floating.
I'm sorry, that they're shared schools. So when you see the 0.5,
Yeah, they float.
0.7, that they're at school.
Okay, gotcha.
That they share school, that they're shared between them.
Right, I understand.
You gonna add the custodian? We're gonna have to clean up after ourselves.
Oh Lord.
But this right here are APS employees, our custodial staff, the daytime staff, they're property. So they're
Site manager, that's the maintenance supervisor. Okay.
So are we gonna have? So we're just gonna keep one officer, even though they give us two. Okay, understood.
But that right there does not come from us, so we're going to earn one.
Okay, understood. So they're gonna send us one. Understood.
This is just like special ed. You all thought it was their urge. These positions are also, they're in our building, but they're not funded through our budget.
Understood.
Oh, okay. So like the school resource officer, they Is that what you're referring to, that category, the stuff that's marked in that gold? Okay, thank you.
Oh, we good. We can go now. Oh,
Hey, let me try to. Now, next we will do our non-staffing tab review. Again, we'll do our non-staffing tab review. And this is you'll see funds in our reserve, district funded field trips, and I've already asked for a decrease in funds just to support additional staff. So it was 84, 83 moved.
So what is the reserve used for?
That right there is actually given after the head count is done. So literally that's reserve money. So that's how much we'll have in our reserve. But that is a conversation we'll also have, because based off of that, based off of any losses we have to take, that those reserve funds could possibly buy us in way.
It could possibly do what? I'm sorry.
Purchase staff members.
Staff.
And that again will be a discussion that the GO team we have collaboratively to make that decision, but we have $114,405 in reserve.
And the district field trip funds were asked to be decreased to support staffing needs. Okay. So I mean, like the trips to the aquarium, they'll reduce those for us.
Yes.
Okay.
And then where it says student transportation for APS buses, it's nothing there. So does that mean that that's not in our budget, or we don't pay for that, or what? What is that?
Currently, that's not in the budget.
Okay.
And again, that's not transportation to school and things of that nature. That's more so field trips. I'm sorry. Can I go to the next slide?
yes.
As you can see, there is nothing other than supplies, $4,904. And then we get down to our stipend.
With those stipends, with them being in green, does that mean that it comes out of our budget?
It's part of our school funds. So any stipend at the school level, they've allocated $25,200 for academic, $9,500 for fine arts, $53,900 for athletics. So there was on the allocation tab, there was on tab should have, and it's probably down or it was on the allocation. I think it was probably $89,500 for stipends. That's the breakdown for how the stipends are allocated and how much are given for each area.
Can you give an example of how the fine arts stipend could be used?
Those stipends, usually there was a district-based stipend that they already have allocated. So for example, the band teacher receives a stipend for additional,
okay.
So those are usually already allocated.
So they like staff stipends, basically.
Those are not stipends to purchase items. These are staff stipends as supplemental duties that they perform.
Gotcha. Next slide.
Substitute teachers, $92,870. Substitute FICA, $1,347.
And this is for the district, right? I mean, does each school have a stipend? Have a teacher sub?
For 10 days.
Okay.
You said that's for 10 days?
For each identified individual who can have a sub.
Oh,
So for each teacher, pretty much who can get a sub.
Okay, understood.
and the max is 10 days. And so, in each school has its own budget for subs.
Yes, so anytime a teacher is out and it's not, let's say for whatever reason it may be, then those days come from that $92,087,870.
So that budget will vary from school to school
That
also.
will vary, depending on the number of teachers you have, that will vary.
So, Ms. Mccall, I'm just curious to know, I'm looking at, just looking at the numbers that we are looking at this evening. I wonder, I would love to compare the numbers here versus the numbers at maybe like Sutton or Howard and see, I'm just curious about, if there's equity in the funding. Just curious. Just a statement I'm making. That's all.
Slide.
Yes.
The budgets are public information, correct?
Public knowledge.
So you can go to their websites and find that out, but also you have to look at their enrollment. Like our enrollment compared to Howard. Howard has more students. So of course their budget is going to be bigger. So it's going to vary between schools based on their enrollment and the number of teachers that they have on staff.
Gotcha. Okay.
But none of these numbers are static.
Gotcha.
Everybody's gonna look different. That poverty ranking, all of it. So they give us a total of, and I'm going back to you see the receipt, the allocation, and the difference. They give us a total of $266,961. Allocated of $311,565, a difference of $43,997. And let me make sure. So receive, allocate, and the difference. So yes.
So we're basically short that 43 on 9.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Signature and turnaround fund process review. The district is piloting a zero-based budgeting, ZBB, process for signature and turnaround program funds this year. Zero-based budgeting, ZBB, is a budgeting process that allocates funding based on program efficiency and necessity rather than budget history. As opposed to traditional budget, no item is automatically included in the next budget. As such, the initial allocation for these programs at all schools will be $0. Process. Principals will develop proposed requests for the personnel and non-personnel they need to support the signature and or turnaround programs at their schools. Principals will share and discuss their proposals and rationale for the proposals with a school go team for feedback. After discussing with their go team, principals will submit their request for review by January 31st. Funding for these programs will be provided the week of February 3rd. Did you all get the information? I'll move it to the next slide. Again, this is an example. This is an example of how the budget looks. The next slide you will see. And right now, this is Carla information. I do see That, the top portion got cut off, that's just our name, that's our school. This is actually the turnaround tab.
Okay, you said this is the turnaround tab.
Uh-huh. So this year, I'm sorry, not the turnaround, the signature programming tab. And I
Okay,
put it
okay.
at the bottom so you all can see that there has been a new tab added called signature and turnaround. We're not turnaround school, so that's why this portion we're not going to discuss because we're not a turnaround school, so we cannot request those funds. But this right here is a tab for signature programming. As you can see, the top portion is personnel. So that's a request for the personnel or the signature program coach based off their average salary. And also, again, based off of, but portion, we have to write a rationale, have a comments, because they will actually go for approval on February 3rd. So this has to be submitted by January 31st. Our allocation for last year was about 229,000. And so will have to be the request submitted for signature program.
So it don't matter. This is automatically gonna go in because this is what we have to request.
Yes, this is if we want to proceed with signature programming, this must be filled out.
And this is the money that we're gonna be allocated,
For
even though
program.
it's for signature programs, even though on our thing it says 0. And
Uh-huh.
because it's yellow, that means it's coming from the district or no?
No, this right here means that, and let me go back to the previous slide. I'm sorry, not the previous. This right here, because they're doing the zero-based budgeting, the funding is going to be based on efficiency and necessity rather than budget issue. So with
Okay.
that, the GO team, we have to go ahead and discuss the proposal. Do we want to continue on with signature programming? And based off of our strategic plan with our highest priority, it was stated that we want to implement that STEM program model across all content areas. So based off of that and our discussion that we're going to have, do we want to submit a rationale for the proposal to continue with signature programming? And that request has to be submitted on my end via the tab by January 31st. And any fund for the program will be provided by the week of February 3rd.
For the fiscal year, for the next school year.
For the next.
Okay. Okay.
Quick question. So non-personnel signature program travel is requested was 2,500, dues and fees 5,000, and then signature program and supplies is 5,000. That's what's being requested for next year.
That right there is just if let's say if we decide more is needed, then and based off of is do we think more is needed?
If we request more, we're not guaranteed to get more, or we're not even guaranteed this? That's the question. Is there a question mark behind these funds requests?
I would say for the needs of our students. And so based off our strategic priority, that is one of our highest needs because we want to continue to implement this program now. So that's why I say, do we need more resources as far as? And so that's part of the discussion.
So is there a possibility that they can tell us no to these funds?
Yes.
Okay.
Because again, it has to be reviewed and funding for these programs will be provided by the week of the 3rd. But it says proposals and rationales. So they could say no, they could say yes, but we're going for, and our goal and our hope based off of our needs and based off our strategic plan that we have, right? Based off of this is a need.
So in the discussion, would they be looking for us to substantiate why we need a set, right? And so what are some ways, I mean, what are some of the, I mean, how would we substantiate it? Through data, through assessments, you know, assess results from assessments? You know, how would we, how would they expect us to substantiate the need for, like, let's say we want to put $100,000. I'm just throwing a number out there for STEM, for the STEM, what's that? Is that STEM B, STEM 1B allocation?
IB college.
Right. So
Where,
we need to come up with like a proposal and say, hey,
1104.
I mean, right now, we really need to make sure the biggest thing is that because it's zero base, we'll have to show the needs. But at the same time, from the previous year, of course, we don't want to surpass what we utilized the previous year. And I think that was 219, between 219 and 229. So our biggest thing is to, you know, really make sure that we have the focus as far as the needs of the students and not just exhaustive funds, because there are other opportunities that we could provide students. So, of course, the need, that's what we want to make sure. And we want to, because of the budget itself, we want to make sure we're just not, again, putting funds and utilizing because of the description and because it's there.
sure. So so in our effort to substantiate why we need this money, do we need to have like some kind of a proposal or what have you? So,
Rationale for,
Mhm.
okay, gotcha.
Because they're gonna look at current program and what are we doing with what we have now to substantiate why we need it in the future.
Right. But so we got to do more than just say, hey, give us some more money. We got to be able to put something in black and white and present it and show, you know, present that data to show, you know, that it's needed, why it's needed.
But they're going to be looking for this by January 31st. And I will say, as far as the program coach, I have already wrote rationale. They provide targeted support to improve instruction across all subjects by integrating hands-on inquiry-based learning strategies that enhance critical thinking and problem-solving skills. This approach not only strengthens student engagement and achievement in math and science, but also boosts ELA and social studies through interdisciplinary projects that foster literacy, collaboration, and real-world application. Additionally, they tailor interventions to meet the diverse needs of all subgroups, ensuring equity and a closing achievement gap for underperforming students. And so that right there is the rationale for the coach that has been provided. And we just need to look at the non-personnel items to ensure that we have rationale and proposals as far as for these non-personnel positions. But again, any feedback we can share. Have that discussion now, or if you want to work on those and send them over, that would be fine also. And you all just let me know, because I know right now with the turnaround time of January 31st, that we want to make sure whatever is committed is all eyes are dotted. And I think Dr. White, I know her over there. She's probably got 2 pages already written up. So you all let me know if you all just would like to email them to me or be advised that either Ms. Kruger or Mr. Murphy could possibly, so we can get that information in. But whatever we do, it has to be done by the 31st. No, prior to the 31st.
Okay. This next slide.
Next slide. February 14th feedback meeting has to happen before February 14th. And I think we have already solidified February 13th as our meeting date. The cluster superintendent review is between February 17th and February 21st. So that's why important all feedback is given. And everybody voices their opinion on our next meeting, which is February 13th. HR staffing conferences are between February 24th and February 27th. And in March, the final goal team approval meeting after the school staff conference. And before Friday 14th, and I think we've already stated March 6th will be our meeting date. And at that time, the GO team will take action on the final budget and recommendations for March, before March 14th. So our February and March meetings will be action meetings. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Principal Mccall, for sharing that information with us. And as we mentioned before, we will, in our next meeting, we will discuss, give that feedback so that we can, again, look over the budget and make our final recommendations before it is submitted. At this next time, one moment, I believe our next principal's report will be CCRPI.
Yes. I do apologize because I wanted to share the screen with you all, but it looks as if the state website has some issues with it, but I'll try again for the sake of, otherwise I may just have to.
We could table it for the next meeting, or
We may have to, because it looks as if on both slides, on both computers, the website is giving not error messages, but the information is not coming up completely. But we will table just a small portion, because I do want to say, I'm very proud to say that we have increases in 3 out of 4 areas as far as content areas for our CCRPI score. Most notably our students with disabilities and also our ELL students. They showed major gains. They not only met many of their targets, they also exceeded their targets. So kudos to all those teachers and all those staff members that supported. We're far from where we want to be, but we're much closer to where we need to be. So I'm very proud to say that we did see some gains in content mastery. We also saw gains in progress alongside closing the gap. There were some areas that, again, we need to focus on, and we have identified areas. But at our next meeting, I'll be prepared to show you again. My apologies, because the site for some reason is not pulling up, but I will be able to show you those definite numbers the site. But I also would like to share with you all the link to the CCRPI website. So if time permits and you all are able to go on and type in Crawford Middle School, you all will be able to look the report itself, so you can see the areas that Crawford Law did gain in. So I will be dropping that into the chat so you have access to the site. Mr. Murphy, that's it.
all right, at this time, do we have a committee report, Ms. Boston?
Oh, Miss Boston had to drop off because her son is in I think they're in urgent care. Did I read that correctly?
Oh, okay. All right. We'll table that. From our cluster advisor, Dr. White, do you have a report from that meeting?
From the cluster advisor.
Advisory meeting? Was there a cluster advisory meeting
There was this past Saturday, and I was unable to attend, so I apologize. I do not have a report from that meeting.
Okay, and
This past Saturday.
we'll follow that up on the next meeting. So at this time, we're going to move on to our announcements. We remind all GO team members to complete the budget training on the Ellis platform. You need assistance with the platform, contact the GO team office. Does anyone have any brief additional announcements?
Well, I always want to give an update on what's going on outside, because as I talked was at PLC last week, one of the biggest question was, what's going on with the garden? Is it going to be ready, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just kind of want to, if I can quickly, I have, I always try to have some kind of a presentation so I can get through it real quick. And I don't waste the time. So what I'm trying to do now is pull it up so I can, get through it real quick. present, of course. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. If Chrome will let me do that. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, y'all see that?
Yes.
Go team report.
We see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So we got a new resource partner. Yeah, on yesterday, Mr. Murphy and I met with Miss Courtney Mixon, who is a representative of the 4-H club, the Georgia Extension 4-H club. So we want to discuss a plan to move forward with the revitalization of the area adjacent to the amphitheater. So we're gonna, now that we have finally, the original plan was to try to grow things from seed. The biggest piece is ground covering and grass. Well, we're the biggest challenge is that it's kind of late in the season to grow grass. So we're going to be trying to discuss some other options with that. Mr. Chappelle of Moby Farms, who's been working with the After School All Stars, will complete the redesign of the garden by next Friday, January 31st. Yeah. So, and the UGA Extension Office will also send 2 additional garden apprentices to assist Miss Shirley Shivers with the After School All Stars. So we're going to start growing things indoors first, so that once this weather, we have that last freeze, we'll be ready to go outside. But you'll be able to see a major difference in what's going on with our garden by the end of next week. If you notice, Cumin Landscape Supply, that's one of our partners. They dropped off the first of 3 bags of veggie mix compost for the beds. I'm gonna have them to come back and move that bed down by the greenhouse. Also, the garden, we plan to have a school play, and as a key contribution of the connections, contribution to the food systems PBL. Mr. Golden and others will begin production of the garden show, and we'll have the support of one of my interns to assist in the art for both the show and the garden. And on the last note, the green team, that's what I'm calling After School All Stars, they will begin growing seedlings as part of their contribution to the PBL. And we're going to start growing indoors. And this is just an aerial photo of the area outside. You notice they put the beds together. So now we're going from 7 to 10 beds. So we'll be growing extra food, and we're going to try to grow greens first, so that we can have an abundance of greens to sell at the farmers market. And we're putting together a list of other farmers in the community to come and participate as well. So this is going to be a transform from looking like this to something different. And I want to point out that Mr. Chappelle, one of the things that's going to happen is that we're going to have the groundwork for the garden is going to be very similar to this. This is just an aerial view of the beginnings of a garden on another project, but that's basically what we're looking at. So this will be part of the transformation, right? And then this area here, we're going to bring in some persons from the UGA Extension as well as the 4-H to tackle this area and get it. We will do some growing, but we basically want to just beautify this area and have it looking really nice. Because if you notice, this time of year, this area gets no sun. And so the sun comes in the summertime. So we're going to try to make it look beautiful. So you'll notice a big change here also. And I think that concludes what I wanted to share for this evening. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank y'all.
And also, just to add that real quick, we received a grant from the Farmers Administration that was written by the lead nutritional dietitian for Atlanta Public Schools. Our school and another school, we received money to help with our garden. So we're going to be purchasing composting kits for the school that will also be a part of creating our organic garden as well. And I had to meet with them on last week. And so that, happy about that. So that's one less thing we have to purchase out of our pocket. So definitely building and adding on to the signature programming here at Crawford Long Middle School, and developing a theme along the way.
Kudos to Mr. Murphy for his work with the staff and getting them to really participate with the PBL and the work that they're doing in the classroom to support the effort. So kudos to Mr. Murphy for what he's doing and setting it up so that we can get that website going and have a successful end product.
Thank you, Dr. White. And so I think those are now. Anybody else are we the only ones on this? Oh no. Anybody else?
I got it's a question because it came from the chat, not the chat, the YouTube. Got one question in the YouTube. It's from a parent. Oh, this is from one of our teachers. Can we discuss having less connection teachers in order to add another social studies and science teacher? That was one of the questions. So I guess that we'll table that for next, Ms. McCall.
And I was about to say that's more personnel, so I'm not gonna, as far as personnel to personnel, we're gonna, whatever is best for the students. So we'll have to make those decisions, but we will take that feedback into consideration.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, if there are no more announcements, we'll move into our adjournment. We have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion that we adjourn this meeting at 7:28 p.m.
Second it.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays say nay. Any abstentions? All right. All right. At this time, the meeting is adjourned at 7:29 p.m. on January 23rd, 2025. Thank you, and you all have a great and safe night.
Okay, everyone have a great evening.